Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to American Dumpster Fire. This is Loki.
And this is Tyr.
And so insult to injury time, right? Hannah hits shore in the midst of a pandemic.
Yeah.
And what do you want to bet that Trump butchers handling this one, too?
I mean, has anybody given him a Sharpie?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe he can.
What is he altered about this whole thing? Yeah. Oh, it's not as bad as they're saying.
Right.
Like,
is he going to bring up the nukes again?
can we just lock him in his room or something like that? Can we just stay in here
The
and quit
problem
breaking everything,
that
you idiot?
I really feel like he's too stupid to be doing the amount of damage that he's doing. And there are people behind him
Yeah.
that are pulling some strings and making it worse. Like Stephen Miller is literally trying to destroy this country. He is starting a race war. That man is fucking evil. And then I think there are foreign influence behind him as well.
Definitely.
Barr is definitely a criminal.
Well, see, I think, look, there's some global organizations in play, and it sounds like conspiracy theory, but some of these exist. There's a large evangelical movement that's been pushed for a long time. I mean, like Nixon and Carter, you know, started way back then, and they've been and they're hell bent on supporting whoever's in power and making sure they stay in power while nobody else does. This is a fact. This isn't me making shit up.
Right.
Like there's documentaries about these assholes, you know,
Right.
And everything, and they are pushing for kind of a global authoritarianism, you know, and so. You know, I think that they've made these connections, and the lines are really blurred, right? So we want to say it's Russia, but I think it's all one big thing, you know, that it's, you know, there's a global oligarchy that is trying to maintain control of the world. That's why, as the world seemed to be getting a little more liberal and things seemed to be, you know, edging towards becoming a better place, they dug in and they installed right-wing psychopaths all over the world, you know.
Right.
Because they were afraid that people would have equal rights.
I think that we have seen that it's not just the U.S. that's been tampered with. In fact, we know because the U.K. has also found that they have been tampered with. Their elections, their COVID research,
all
everything
over the world, yeah.
by Russia.
Yeah.
And maybe Russia is just the front for this.
Any quote-unquote free country has been tampered with by Russia.
Right, but specifically, I think that there's been some influence with the government in Australia as well as the UK.
Sure.
And clearly Trump, because there's no way that man made it
right.
on his
They're
own.
trying to install authoritarianism globally. And eventually I think that Russia would just insist that everything be handed over to Putin.
And truth be told, the really scary part about this is not necessarily Trump. It is the 1/3 of America that is eagerly open to fascism.
Well, yeah, because they think that they're going
if
to
they
be
lick enough boots, they'll be safe.
Right. Yeah, they'll get the the shin or something instead of the heel.
That ain't happening.
And but that's the thing, because they're literally the lowest common denominator. You know, these people are like, the minute they're like, oh well, I was loyally by your side the whole time, and then when they get a whip of them, they're gonna be like, yeah, but you're still a dog. You know.
I mean, that's the bottom line, is that these people are so open to having their rights stripped.
Right.
You know?
Because they think it's going to happen worse to the people they hate.
Which is horrifying.
Yeah. They're disgusting.
But yeah, no, that's what scares me the most, is that you hope, based on what we're seeing, that Trump will be out of office in 6 short months.
You know what's crazy is, too, I keep getting this from people that, you know, oh, there's no more racism and there's no more homophobia. It's all bullshit,
Lord.
and the media is just... And it's like, dude, I've seen this firsthand.
Right.
I know it's real. I've gone to Pride and been accosted by psychopath right-wing Christians and stuff like that, you know, and they're out there preaching hate and everything like that. It's real. It's still alive.
Because I have found that this 1/3 of America that still supports this man have a complete break with reality.
Oh, yeah.
And they will go out of their way to avoid reality. And they live in this bubble of misinformation that they happily cling to. And it's literally not of this world. Like,
Right. Yeah.
It's fake. Like, nothing that they... And, like, truly, it would take you 5 minutes of research to find out that this is all bullshit.
Right.
But they cling to these lies.
Well, that's why they have to have news sources that are built specifically to feed them the lies they want to hear, like OANN and Tucker Carlson and The Blaze and
Right.
all them. They're just invented to feed their echo chamber.
It's propaganda.
It's sealed it up so tight they've had hypoxia.
Mm-hmm.
That they literally can't get any more reality to their brain.
It's just frightening. And the thing is that these movements of, misinformation campaigns and anti-maskers and science deniers and all that.
Anti-vaxxers. And the problem is the anti-vax thing has pervaded even into the Democratic Party and stuff, and the progressives. And it's just because they can't tell the difference between reality and the propaganda that's been created.
Right, but specifically, a vaccine, you're getting an injection of chemicals that you don't understand, and that would take, whatever, research, fine. A mask is a fucking piece of cloth you're putting over your face so you don't spit on anybody.
Let's be fair. You don't understand what's in ibuprofen either, so grow up. Oh,
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, at least that's, a complicated thing that I can get that not everybody understands. A mask is a fucking piece of cloth that could save lives. Shut up and fucking do it.
Well, if you think that the mask is going to cause hypoxia and you're not going to be able to get enough oxygen to your brain, that ship has probably sailed.
Yeah, it's gone. Long gone. But anyway, this misinformation campaign that I can only assume their entire purpose is to kill more Americans. And it's working.
Yeah.
It's working beautifully. But I mean, it's growing. And that's my concern.
Well, it's an infection.
It's taking hold. And truly, and it is a cult. There's no doubt about it. These people were targeted. They were manipulated. And they're very happy with that situation.
Sure.
And they're very cult-like in clinging to this. And now there's so many of them running for government that it's truly scary.
There's no IQ test to be
there needs to
a
be
senator or congressman or anything like that.
But they're so steadfast in their clinging to this crap.
Right.
That would literally take them 2 minutes to debunk.
Well, it's become who they are.
Literally. I will argue with them on Twitter and they'll post these ridiculous articles. It takes me 2 seconds to find that it's fake.
Right, but then they call you fake. They call real.
Oh, then we're the sheep.
Information fake, right?
We're the sheep because we believe mainstream,
right.
reality.
Real science, yeah.
Right.
Actual scientists instead of that YouTube personality that they like. Well, my YouTube personality knows more than your guy with a doctorate.
My favorite is when they will tweet something where they've come up with this conspiracy theory, and so they tweet it all out in this thread, and then when they try to make a claim that's blatantly not true, they'll quote tweet themselves. So they'll retweet their thread to you and say, "Look, this is true." All you did was retweeted your own fucking garbage. That doesn't make it a fact, you idiot.
Right. Yeah, it's so frustrating. It is so frustrating.
Or there was some that were already
I've had
proven.
QAnon posts.
QAnon is the big
used
thing behind
as
this.
evidence, and it's
yes.
There's no evidence that the QAnon post
I
is
think
correct.
that is a requirement for QAnon, is that it has to be completely fabricated bullshit.
Well, they're like, oh look, it says right here, yes, but QAnon is an anonymous Russian.
It was 2 Russians who started it, I think, on 4chan or whatever.
And morons believed it.
And it took off from there.
Yeah.
And we know that they did because they fucking admitted to it.
Right.
And now, and it's definitely got some ties to Russia because it really does seem to be trying to destroy America from within.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's working great because we're very stupid as a country. And so yeah, QAnon is a huge fucking deal because they're literally brainwashing these people. They are literally in a cult, like a mass cult of people. And the problem is that we can vote Trump out, but these brainwashed people will
still
remain.
Be here. Yeah.
And they are a danger.
Yeah.
They are literally fucking scary.
Yeah, and then they take the rest of our disdain against them as proof that they're on the right track.
Yes.
The rest of the world hating them is like an award. It's a badge of honor to them.
Oh my God, they brag. I have literally tried to get to the bottom of this mindset. They brag about the fact that their families have abandoned them because they have broken with reality.
Right, yeah. They're dangerous psychopaths.
And then they call everybody else sheep. Meanwhile, they're using photoshopped, very clearly photoshopped pictures as proof that, celebrities eat people.
Right.
You have the original right there. People are posting, look, here's the original photo, you absolute whack job, and they refuse to accept reality. In fact,
it's because they're stupid.
They're very big on the whole pedophilia thing. And they're constantly
Which is funny because a lot of the people on their side are pedophiles.
They're very adamant about persecuting pedophiles and going after pedophiles and accusing innocent people of being pedophiles and eating babies. Meanwhile, Trump is their savior.
Right.
Who's, I believe, literally accused of being a pedophile.
Multiple times.
Literally just wished Ghislaine Maxwell well on camera in front of everybody. He really hopes that pedophile does well.
Well, and then since QAnon, Republican after Republican has gone down for being a pedophile.
Right.
So,
but they won't ever recognize that because reality doesn't exist in their world.
Right.
But the true problem is that they are spreading this disinformation to the extent that people are refusing to wear masks.
Right.
They're absolutely adamant that they will never get a COVID vaccine. They are literally willing to kill people. They're willing to die over misinformation that has been fed to them, spoon-fed to them
because
by QAnon.
Some internet troll told them so, yeah.
Because some internet troll who's probably working against America and wants to see Americans dead, and they're like worshipping these people. And it's fucking scary.
Well, there's Q bumper stickers and Q T-shirts and all kinds of shit. They're making money off of trolling these idiots, like Q, the people who run.
There's literally a picture somewhere, and it was like either military police or an actual police or a guard or something with it might have been Pence, and he's got a big fucking Q badge right on his uniform.
Yeah.
Like, really?
It's insanity.
I want to know how many QAnon followers are cops, because that's a huge problem.
Oh, yeah, and there's probably a lot of them, too.
Huge problem.
Because you don't have to be smart, you know?
No, I think the opposite applies there. It's
But
best if you're not smart.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that when people like Flynn are doing this QAnon oath on social media,
right,
that dude fucking knows better.
Right.
However, he also has one foot in Russia, and that furthers their agenda.
Sure, yeah. That's who they are.
So, but it validates them, even though he knows goddamn well QAnon is bullshit.
Right. But, yeah, I mean, it takes real work to unbrainwash somebody. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm concerned about, is that one day Trump won't be president, and we're still going to have all these people infiltrating our country.
But the thing, I think Q needs exposed. I think that we need to find.
Q's been exposed.
But I mean, who they actually are, like the names.
Half their stuff has. People have taken over claiming to be Q.
Yeah. Well, the same thing happened with Anonymous, which hurt them.
These people keep getting debunked. Like, literally, they're showing like, okay, like this guy's claiming that he is Q, and he's like posting all this stuff, and he'll go back and he'll like take his old Facebook posts and repost them and be like, see, I called this, I predicted this, and there's a date on that post. But when you look at it, he edited whatever that original post was,
and they're gullible enough to believe it.
And they're gullible enough to believe it. Yeah, like they get debunked over and over and over. Like they keep claiming that all these different things are going to happen, and then they never happen.
Right.
Because it's bullshit.
Right.
And it just never. Their faith never wavers, and it's truly scary.
Because once you've trolled an idiot and you've made them believe something, you can't. They'll never admit they were wrong about anything.
Crazy. And for the most part,
they've got to be unbearable to live with as human beings. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think anybody.
I feel
is
so
living
bad
with
for their
them.
families if they're not brainwashed just like them.
Yeah, but it's frightening, truly, and I worry about the future of our country, especially if some of these candidates get into office.
Right.
We're literally going to be operating against people who don't have the mental capacity to realize
discern
what
reality
truth
from
is.
fiction. Yeah.
So yeah, there's some very scary stuff going on there.
And I gotta wonder how many. So all these feds were sent to these cities, right? These HLS employees and everything like that sent in their boots and uniforms and everything. I wonder how many of them are Q junkies, because they're all undertrained first off. And
they're definitely not trained for any kind of conflict at all.
I mean, some of the stuff, it's ridiculous, right? They're running off of federal property, right? They are leaving. They're told they can't leave the federal property, but what they're doing is like a 6-year-old put in timeout, right? They are running out of timeout to punch their sister and then running back to timeout, right? So they're running off the courthouse steps to like smack a protester and then running back like children.
So I have seen them like behind the fences in the federal property, But I have also seen Portlanders saying that, yes, they see them freely walking around the streets, too, where they have no business being. So, and the thing is that I have actually been following Portland since the protests started, because I have never seen a more badass fucking city.
Yeah.
I guess Portland is very protest heavy to start with. Like, even before Black Lives Matter, from what I understand, they had a lot of protests, and it
There's
would be
nothing more American.
right, and it would just be like the various injustices and stuff. And it seems like the issue with Portland, with the police centrally, is that while Portland itself is a very liberal area, the surrounding areas are very, very conservative to a kind of,
Nazi degree.
Yeah. So a lot of the cops are coming from those areas.
Sure.
So they probably have a lot of bad eggs in their departments, and I have seen
So
some.
maybe Portland is completely justified protesting their police if they're that bad?
Correct. I have seen some truly scary stuff come out of that city. Like, they're driving through the streets, like before the feds showed up. They're like plowing through, and they're like military vehicles with their loudspeakers and demanding that everybody go home.
It's the only way they can prove they have testicles.
I have seen them like flashbang media to the point where they like literally just flopped onto the ground, like media, like journalists.
Right. That's what fascists do, by the way.
And these protesters are like to the point where they are a well-oiled machine, and I'm just watching as it's like watching a war zone. They've got their shields and stuff, and as soon as someone goes down, they gather around, they have their shields there, and they're like protecting each other while they scoop up the injured person and get them to safety and everything. And I'm like, that shouldn't ever happen in the freaking city of, in the streets of America.
Right.
It's insane.
But, okay, so how is it even okay that Trump can just call in stormtroopers on any city he wants?
It is not in any way okay.
Literally,
they're there because there's graffiti on the buildings.
Right. So how is it that we have failed to stop this? How is it that where is and I know people are going to get mad that I'm calling them out, but where's Nancy and Chuck on this? Why aren't they helping to stop this?
No, I agree with you completely. This is a huge violation. The kidnapping in the streets. Have you seen the videos of that where they just will grab someone, haul them into a van?
How do we have the audacity to be on recess right now when this problem hasn't been fixed?
I agree completely. This is huge. This is the end of America if it keeps going.
If I have an emergency at work, I gotta get back to work. That's how it is.
Yeah.
Why aren't we doing this?
Literally more than half of our politicians are completely worthless and don't deserve their paychecks.
We're under attack. This is a partisan smokescreen
That's
attack.
Exactly what it is. We are under attack.
This is an insurrection by the Trump administration against our states and our cities.
Not only that, he is absolutely focusing on Democratic cities.
Yeah.
And it does not matter if they've had out-of-control
some of these
protests.
are peaceful cities. There's nothing happening in, and he's sending in his jackboot jackasses anyways.
Because they have a Democratic mayor in that city,
right?
And blah blah blah.
And that person maybe said something mean against me.
Right, like he's holding grudges and sending in his federal goons who aren't identifying themselves, who are loyal to Trump and not America very clearly by the shit that's going on here. Like, he's basically using everything in our government as Trump's personal, armies and Department of Justice.
This isn't okay.
None of our country is working for us anymore. We are currently under his control.
I think our governors have to call in the National Guard to arrest these feds.
I completely agree. I think that the moment they step off of federal property, unless they're heading back to their hotel, they should be under arrest.
Right, I agree.
I think that the National Guard needs to be there under orders from the governors to protect the protesters.
I agree. And it's a sad day.
Unless one of the protesters is literally breaking into the federal building and trying to destroy something, they have no means for arrest.
It's a sad day when we need the National Guard to protect the people against the federal government. It is a sad day. But we're there.
I think we're there too.
And they're supported by these right-wing victim-blaming sons of bitches. The same kind of people who blame a woman for getting raped or blame a child for getting beaten by its parent are the same kind of people who are blaming the protesters for getting beat up by the feds.
It's absolutely true. And that's that's exactly what I equate it to. Every fucking time I see, I just watched a video where a nurse in her scrubs was walking along as like these cops were like shoving people and just hitting them and everything, and they go to attack this one guy and they're shoving him against a wall, and she runs over and grabs him and tries to pull him away, and the cops pepper spray the fuck out of both of them right in the face.
They're lucky that nurses have integrity and wouldn't deny them the help that they need, because if it wasn't that kind of society, imagine what would happen once those cops got hurt.
Right. So she got the guy out of the way and everything, and people are like clearly appalled because they literally attacked her too.
Right.
And the cops were just shoving this guy. She's just trying to pull him to safety because she's a fucking nurse and that's what
right.
they do. And so the comments on the video had me seeing red. I was like ready to blow a gasket because it's all these people. Well, she shouldn't have been there. She was literally just walking
right
next to, the stuff going on. She shouldn't have fucking been there. Fuck you. It's
right.
a sidewalk. She pays taxes. She has every right to be there. And that's the thing, is that these people who are trying to make excuses for why innocent people are being attacked are the same people who attack rape and domestic violence survivors.
Right.
They're the same, using the same logic. They're using the same fucking excuses. Look at what they were wearing. Yeah, they're wearing protective gear because they can't trust their police to not
right.
beat the fuck out of them. And then like the whole, well, they shouldn't have been there. This is a free country. They
right.
pay taxes in that city. They have every fucking right to
and
be
these same
there. They have a constitutional right to fucking protest when things are not right.
But the same people were okay when armed men stormed Capitol buildings because they were too fragile to wear masks.
Because I don't think it's possible to be a conservative unless you are also a complete and total hypocrite.
Well, yeah, and they're always the victim.
Yeah, it's part of their like requirement for
right.
being a conservative is being completely hypocritical. But like the point is that while they're using these ridiculous excuses for having their rights violated, for like why the cops and the federal officers have every reason to violently attack innocent citizens.
Right.
And there's two types of people who do that. First of all, in order to defend an abuser, you are either an abuser yourself.
Right.
So when we see cops and other, military and everything like that actually defending these blatant violations of our Constitution by people who swore to uphold it, you assume that these federal officers have taken some sort of oath, but it's possible they haven't. But the bottom line is when you work for the government, you are expected to be loyal to the Constitution. These men are clearly not loyal
right.
to the Constitution. And so when we have military and police and all that stuff defending these men, it's probably because they have the same mindset. They're also abusers.
Sure.
Everybody else, literally everybody else, this is a fair response. I'm sorry, but you're afraid. If you're going to sit there and defend the fact that these cops and federal officers are attacking innocent people by saying, well, they shouldn't have been there. Well, look at what they're wearing. Well, if they had just obeyed. No, fuck you. You are scared. You are trying to find some reason that innocent person deserved what happened to them where there is none. You're trying to find that because you're afraid it could happen to you.
Right, because if you can justify it,
because if you can find some reason that it would happen to them but not to you, then you can live in your safe little bubble.
Right.
But the bottom line is, those people don't give half a fuck about you. And if you think that if you weren't in the wrong place at the wrong time, that you wouldn't be shot in the head with a fucking rubber bullet, or gassed, or sprayed, or whatever,
or beaten,
assaulted,
or,
yeah, it would absolutely fucking happen to you. And I don't give a fuck if you obeyed what they said to you, or if you were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, or whatever the situation is, it would absolutely happen to you too. Do you know why? Because they don't give a fuck about your rights.
Right. Yeah, they're not going to be able to tell the difference. And if you walk down to this protest and, you just peacefully, joined the protest, you didn't do anything wrong, you're still just as likely to get beaten as the rest of them. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And we have seen it over and over and over. And the bottom line is, if you need to lie and victim blame to sleep at night, then whatever, you're a coward.
They're cowards. That's exactly what it comes down to. All right, do we have any other cheerful loveliness?
No, just the other thing that I wanted to mention about the feds showing up and stuff is there's been some footage of the cameramen in uniform. Have you noticed that?
Oh, yeah.
They're starting to record what's going on.
So they've turned into a propaganda campaign is really what they've done.
It's exactly what it is. And Trump or the White House, some White House official made some comment that that was the whole point, that Trump was trying to get footage
they were saying
of the unrest.
Photo ops and stuff like that. And they're using fancy angles and everything to make it look like there is like chaos and riots in the street, where really it's like there's a metal trash can on fire to keep warm around, but they're making it look like the courthouse is on fire.
Oh God, yeah, it looks like a war zone. And here, like people in Portland were actually talking about like these Trump supporters literally think there is a war zone in like taking over all of Portland. There's 2 blocks, and there was a trash fire, and they're like, dude.
Well, and some of this stuff is completely fabricated. Like, these protesters set fire to this. Really, they threw a road flare in a trash can, took a picture at a fancy angle.
I swear to God,
and blamed it on protesters. It's like, no, you did that. It's obvious you did that.
I want to say it was like the Portland Police Union office or something like that. And it's like glowing red. There was no picture of flames or anything. It was little sparks. And it was red. It looked like they threw a road flare in a trash can.
Right. Yeah. So
and you were seeing it from behind a counter.
It's photo ops by people trying to discredit
it looked fake as
a
fuck.
movement, and it works among idiots.
It absolutely
idiots buy
does.
it, they eat it up,
my
they
God.
love it.
The amount of people who are talking about how Portland is completely overrun and blah blah blah, but every time you hear from a Portland citizen, they're like, "Yeah, no, it's not."
Right.
No, it's really not.
You idiots are just believing propaganda if you believe that shit.
Right. And then there's Trump, who constantly is posting, well, this is Biden's America. If you let him in office, this is how it's going to be.
It's literally Trump's America.
The old man's confused again. Sir, can you tell us what year it is? Do you know who's president right now? It is Trump's America, because he's throwing gas on the fire again.
Right.
Because he is completely incapable of not making literally everything 400 times worse.
But that's the thing. Blame Biden all you wish, but the fact of the matter is this is all happening under you. And worse yet, this is all happening because you're an inept leader. You cannot...
Completely incapable.
Yeah, because all you have to do is actually address the issues.
So here's the thing. When you look at Trump's presidency, how do you see everything that's going on in our country right now? And I'm telling you, this is restrained, because if he wins again, it's the end of America. I'm not even joking. Can you imagine how much it'll escalate when he doesn't have to worry about a re-election?
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't think it's the end. I think he either plans to try and enforce a legacy where his stupid shit children take over from here, or he plans to never leave office like Putin has.
That's what I think. Which to me is the end of America, because what we're living in right now, this is not America.
It's fascist bullshit and it needs to stop.
Right. I'm not saying he blows up the country. I'm saying that he does all of this appalling stuff that we're seeing right now with, completely unhindered.
I wouldn't put it past him to start a civil war if he thinks he's going to go down.
We're literally seconds from it, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that all it will take is for Trump to be reelected.
Yeah. And I don't know.
But I want you to look at what he's doing. Like this whole year, just look at 2020 and tell me if he was literally trying to destroy America. Just if he was trying to destroy America, and if he was trying to kill as many Americans as he possibly could, what would he do differently than he's doing right now?
Nothing.
Exactly.
I love the people who are like, oh, the Democrats are trying to destroy Trump, so they invented the coronavirus. And it's like, Republicans are literally in power. If anybody had the power to do that...
We invented the coronavirus, and yet we're the only ones telling people to wear masks and shut down their cities and try to protect
it makes
human
total
life.
sense, right? Yeah, I mean, how lobotomized do you have to be? So, all right. Anything else?
No. I mean, there's the back-to-school thing. I'm anticipating a nationwide teacher strike, and I can't imagine why that wouldn't happen.
I think
because I promise you, if you're a teacher, you are not making enough money to put your life at risk.
No. And how bad a parent do you have to be to send your kids back to school?
Some of them don't have choice. Their states are revoking any kind of online learning options.
It's ridiculous.
It is absolutely ridiculous. And I can tell you that even if I was in one of those states, there's not a fucking chance in hell I'd send my kid back.
It's almost like they don't see the citizens as the shareholders in the country that they are. They see themselves as rulers.
We're expendable.
Instead of our employees. And this is a problem in this country. Your politicians and your your government administrators and stuff like that, they're our employees.
Yeah, we're their boss.
And
that's
they
they've
should be
clearly
listening to
wandered
us.
far from that.
Oh, yeah. They think they're in charge, and we have to remind them who actually is in charge.
Absolutely. And
So-
there's power in numbers, which is why I'm saying there needs to be a nationwide teacher strike, because holy shit.
Yeah, it's time to end this
Like,
shit.
Forcing them back into brick and mortar schools while you've let this pandemic rage out of control. Oh, other countries are doing it. Yeah, because they did something and they controlled this virus and they got to a place where it's safe and they have a plan to make it safe.
New Zealand has no cases. Why does
Right.
New Zealand have no cases?
Because they did something about it.
They listen to scientists instead of a moron.
And she acted quickly.
So they don't
It
have an
was a
orange
huge-
moron. We have an orange moron.
Right. And then there's there's a precedent set already. There's a couple of countries who have already tried to send their kids back to school and it backfired and their fucking pandemic exploded again.
Yep. So
let's do it here too. Great plan.
So get rid of, vote out anybody who is putting your family in danger, essentially.
Absolutely. Here's a reminder that not only is Trump up for re-election, so is McConnell,
McCarthy,
so is Gates,
Graham.
Lindsey Graham. Yes,
Yeah, get rid of all these fuckers. Get them out.
there's plenty. We'll put up on our website a list of politicians who are up for re-election that desperately need to be removed.
It's time for us to take back our country.
Absolutely.
We will talk to you next time. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter at fire_American. We have a Reddit page, r/American Dumpster Fire. We are on Facebook. You can find our podcast anywhere where podcasts can be found, including YouTube. So go check it all out. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye.